Hello and welcome to Dharma with Kai. So I have had the most amazing holiday, and I was able to get a new game, even though um, my application did not want me to. However, it's called Let's Get Deep Questions for Couples, and it's by relatable. What do you mean talking about like memes and those funny little things that you probably search on social media? So, disclaimer that this podcast is well, Dharma is technically a YouTube channel and it's solely just for healing. It does not identify anyone's identity, or does it disclose a person's whereabouts or their true identity that they live every day as. In the Let's Get Deep, there's four categories, and the categories are deep and deeper, icebreakers, and activities. And I thought it was so funny because sometimes uh, they often say, like, let's do an icebreaker. And it's just like, well, huh? What do you mean? Well, why would we do an icebreaker? So that is what I am going over today. And so, me, I don't like to disclose of any information. And I'm also not going to always give advice about relationships because I feel like social media or blogs and podcasts aren't a way to truly get to the root of a true satisfying relationship by any means. However, I wanted to address these cards because I thought they're quite interesting as I was going through them. So I have a few icebreaker cards, and then I also have a few deep, and then I also have a deeper and an activity card. So the icebreaker cards, the first one said, and I chose like 10 of these. The icebreaker card said, do you consider yourself to be an extrovert or an introvert, and why? And I said either, and it depends on the relationship of the origin of the start of the interaction with the person. However, I'm more of an introvert, and everyone, I feel like, as a person that works with others, becomes an extrovert once you get to know a person inside and out, and you can kind of identify their true nature of their identity. Another question was, what is your favorite way to eat a potato? And fresh from Idaho, everything straight from the garden. And I prefer everything to be organic. And that's just how it is. Play a board game together or go on a hike together. So this one was an alarming question. I would prefer to do neither of those choices. I don't want to play a board game with someone, and I do not want to go on a hike with anyone. If there's instructions to a board game, I don't want someone hyper fixated or trying to prove their intelligence or prove that they're able to win anything. And I also don't want anyone to just let me win a game. I feel like if there's instructions to a board game, they're just trying to kind of fill me out. And then I'm already aware of how they're going to play their hand. So neither of those things are an option. And also, as someone that has been in the game for a little while, I'm also not going to go on a hike with them. I would need to know their license plates. I would need to look at their social identification card. And have already called it in because that is a liability and a risk. And as an agent, I would have to have them sign a disclosure before they take me into any foreign land to go try to break ice together. If I were a wrestler, what would be my entrance theme song? And it just depends on the environment. One song that I'm really into right now is by Drake, and I don't have my playlist around me right now. However, it just depends. I change my entrance song often. However, with Dharma, with Kai, I did a podcast episode on this earlier about just the originality of music and just how it kind of gets altered with the ongoing changes in society. And I'm really big into music. I listen to all kinds of genres of music. So that was a very tough question. That was hard for me to answer. And then another question was, what was the best celebrity encounter and why? No celebrity encounter is amazing. I've met celebrities, whether it's high end or low end, and I just don't like celebrities. I just feel like you have to love yourself so much that you don't ever get taken over by the identity of a celebrity, and the adrenaline only lasts for so long after meeting those celebrities because they have to return to their lives and you have to return to your not so conglomerate life. Did you play any instruments growing up that you wish you still played? I still play every instrument, whether it is physically, or if it is in studio, or if it's on an application on my phone or on my computer. So I still play every instrument. What's your go-to snack at the movies? And I don't like any snacks that could allow choking because um, that is a hazard. And I have children that I'm usually looking after, or I am one that doesn't like to hear a lot of rattling or just like moving around while I'm watching a movie. So that was a silly, silly question. And then, have you ever quit a job and why? Yes, I have because of invalid practice of following proxy and the ADA laws as well. And then, what's a go-to joke is butterface, because when we were growing up, we would read, the magazines and things like that. And I remember everything's cute, butterface. And so I listen to a lot of jokes all the time, but I I literally that's one that I've always thought was funny. And then I also have what's something that comes easy to you. Knowing someone's interior. So you can portray yourself as big and bad macho or someone that's vulnerable and needy, and I can kind of decipher if the needy is actually the big and bad, or if the big and bad is actually the one that's needing someone to vulnerably look at them a little differently. So that's something that comes easily to me. Another deep question is, what role do you play in your family? Everything. And that's what Dharma with Kai is for. And it's a healing process. So that is why I am so big into my work in therapy. And then, which family member of yours do you think you would get along with best and why? And this is for the other person playing this game. Well, for me, I would have to get along with the all of the siblings, and not necessarily like besties, but I would have to be able to tap into their strengths and weaknesses. And I always feel like you have to have a good relationship with whatever parental figure is in their life, whether it is mom or dad, so that you can establish a baseline of what is going to work for continuously developing um, your partner. And that's because I've seen the good and the bad sides of that. Another one is what's an ability you'd like to have, not to care. Why? Because I'm here because I have cared too much throughout my life, and it has gotten me far in life. However, with healing, I'm learning to say no. I'm learning to stand up for myself and not accept less than I deserve. And I'm also learning to embrace the good and the bad. And that is kind of like embracing not being in the equilibrium that I prefer to reside in. And then if you could have chosen a different location to grow up in, where would it be and why? I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't have any regrets regarding that. However, I did like briefly like peek at a different card, and it's like I don't like to explain where I grew up to someone if they're not able to truly get vulnerable and expose or describe where they grew up to. Because me, I told you a strength that I'm good at is deciding if someone's macho and needs someone to like look at their vulnerable side, or if I see someone that's too vulnerable and really they're just trying to overtake me. So that's why I feel like I that's a strength of mine. And sometimes that gets me in a little trouble. However, that's nothing that gets me discouraged. There's so many cool activity cards within this, and it says do your best impressions of each other. So me, I have done wonderful impressions of my counterparts, and I think that whoever is doing this with their couple or has a prospective interest, they are going to be able to determine if they're not able to do this with like ease, that's not the correct person for them. And then flip side, if they're just already just can just do this like do this card like it's the back of their hand, then they need to like spice things up a little, do something different. Okay. And then the last card, which is deeper, is what is your biggest pet peeve? And this one, because I'm sure of myself and I'm still learning myself all the time. My biggest pet peeve, however, still is someone that thinks that they have it all figured out. And I say this because this is a challenge for me day to day. However, vulnerably, Dharma with Kai, which is a healing YouTube channel, was a risk for me to take to begin to kind of release from the burdens of generational trauma and just the ideal image that I grew up in. And so my biggest pet peeve is someone that thinks they have it all figured out. They don't have any side to vulnerability. So I recommend getting Let's Get Deep, whether you have a significant other or not. It is going to help you because I don't get into the dating apps. I have done them before. However, there's so many individuals that stake out online today that it is truly hard to decipher if you are communicating with someone who is authentically themselves or an alias. And Dharma with Kai is a healing channel, and I don't support anyone that is trying to overtake someone's identity or um, just create more catastrophe in someone's life than what is already present. I want to thank you for listening to Dharma. And I'm not always going to do a Let's Get Deep on Dharma. However, I wanted to share a gift that I had decided to get for myself this holiday season. And your perspective is going to change as you listen to Dharma with Kai. And as always, protect your peace. Adios. And I'm out.